All right, from your favorite do-it-yourselfer amateur, I'm going to give you an update on a project on my 2013 GL450. So, number one, my air shock in the back of the GL450. Don't feel that YouTube and everything I read quite hit and answered my challenge. So the first thing I noticed, as many do, one side, my driver's side rear, was low in the morning. So I knew one of the air shocks was probably failing. And I think at this point it's pretty easy to diagnose that if one shock is low, that's pretty much going to be the issue. That it's going to be an air shock, whether it's front or rear. So after changing the air shock, both of them were low and just never seemed to pump. Well, that's not true. Every once in a while it would pump up, but it didn't last very long, where it seemed like they lost air. And one time when I got up in the morning, all four were down on the ground. I started the car and they did lift, but the front seemed to lift better than the back. So after lots of studying, reading, you name it, I was pretty convinced that it was the valve body. That the valve body that tells the car where to send the air, that for some reason, I was assuming internally maybe they were connected to the both in the back. So the only reason I could think that both of them would not pump up together. And in the 2013, all I would get is, malfunction. I didn't get any more information. And I'm a little frustrated, so this is another point. I have one of the Icarsoft, I think they're called, MB2 for Mercedes-Benz, and it says 2 on it. And when I plug that into my 2008 GL450, it gives me all the information on the Airmatic. It gives me the voltage, the level sensors, the error codes, the pressure, you name it. When I plug that into my 2013, which I think is the first year of a major upgrade to the GL450, that does not give me any information. In fact, there's not even an option for the Airmatic, which is extremely frustrating. It could be, maybe somebody can tell me, it could be just that I need to upgrade the Icarsoft software to include the 2013, but I did buy that maybe 2 or 3 years ago, so it's 2020, so I bought it in 2017. So I would think that it would have included the 2013 GL450 model, information. So I think Mercedes-Benz has just made it harder, or for whatever reason does not give up that information. So I have kind of lucked out because I still have my 2008 GL450, and number one reason is I just love it. Even though I bought the newer one, there's just something about this model. It just seems so solid. It's got 3-level lift. Man, it's just a solid car. And I'm in Buffalo, New York, so I drove this mostly for the winter. And once the other one was collapsing, I just didn't drive it much for the last couple months. And then with the coronavirus, so I haven't gone very much anyway. So I still have this. And again, this one, the reader works, right? So the Icarsoft Mercedes-Benz 2, when I plug this one in, I get all kinds of information on the Airmatic. So I'm not saying this is the smartest way. Yeah, I probably should have just spent the $150, $200 to take it somewhere to get scanned, which probably would have told me the exact problem. But I have some time on my hands and figured I would play around a little bit. Turns out that the valve body, all right, so here's actually the valve body from the 2008, and the compressor, that's actually the compressor from 2013, but they're all interswappable. So I'm like, you know what? I think I can just swap these out on my 2008 and figure out which part is bad, and or hook up my my Icarsoft, and it will tell me what's bad. So that's exactly what I did. Certainly took longer than just scanning. And the compressor and the valve body are not that hard. You take the inner wall out, and once you do that, I don't know if you can see this, but it's not that hard to get to, right? On the top is the valve body. On the bottom is the compressor. You could probably even do this with the wheel on, but I took the wheel off. In fact, the 2013, it's mounted differently. It's actually easier to get to than the 2008. So anyways, I swapped that out. I originally did the valve body and kept the original compressor in the 2008, and this 2008 still worked fine. There were no error codes. It pumped up all the way. So I'm like, oh shit. And I'll tell you, I was convinced it was the valve body. So I put the compressor that's in it actually right now from the 2013 GL450 in here, and lo and behold, it did pump it up a little bit. As you can see, it's pumped up now, but I did get a malfunction. And on this one, it also then said the compressor is cooling down, where my 2013 would not say any information. It would just say that the Airmatic was malfunctioning. It would not give me any more details. So this one would go back and forth from malfunction to compressor cooling down. So lo and behold, that has told me, at least I hope so, I still haven't switched them out again, but that the the 2013 compressor is bad. I'm telling you, I would not have guessed it. So everything I was reading was pointing more towards valve body than the compressor. That would be the problem. So in summary, I think what's happened is I haven't owned the 2013 very long. So I think the 2013 was driven quite a bit with one bad airbag, which probably eventually weakened the compressor. The compressor does go on. It does pump up. That's why I kept thinking it was not the compressor. And then it would go off, but, with an error code. But I figured it was just going off because, the valve body was saying, hey, there's something wrong, and it turned the compressor off. But at this point, it was going off because I think the compressor would overheat and or not be enough strength to truly pump up the rear. So in this car, the other weird part is the front was pumping up fine, but the rear would pump up a little bit, but would not completely pump up. Again, that's why I was back to valve body, but it turns out it is the compressor. So I am now, just to confirm 1000%, I am going to put both the 2008 parts into the 2013, and this should work perfect. And I'm going to then put the 2008 compressor back into the 2013. And if it has the 2013's valve body in it with the 2008 compressor, then the 2008 GL450 should work fine, which will tell me that it is 100% the compressor. And again, the smart thing probably would have just had to taken it somewhere to get scanned, but I have a little time on my hands, so I will do a secondary video attached to this with the conclusion and everything working.